Sapphire Scars is a continuation of the Jewelry Box series. If you have not read both Ruby Tears and Emerald Bruises, or listened to our episodes discussing them, we recommend you do so before continuing. Happy days. We are back with the next installment. This is a four-part extravaganza, that journey that we are taking.
The journey's almost over.
Don't say that.
This is book 3. Of course, the journey's almost over. Jesus.
It has been quite a ride. I hope that people have been taking this journey with us because this is quite an interesting ride.
Bro. Side note, only because I feel like I have to be a problem. Well, not really. I don't know how to word this. This is not book related. How many cards in Monopoly do you have? There are people who are halfway done
There are
as of
so
yesterday.
many. There are so many
Why?
cards of the new. They added like four different sets.
Yeah, there's 207 cards. I saw people yesterday on Reddit who have over 100 cards already.
I mean, I
And
thought I
people
didn't.
are trading.
So
Why?
I've been trading every day because I want to make my 5 cents. That's how I finish an album. We trade every single day. So if I can't trade with Joe or my friends, like I go on Facebook and I trade. I want to make sure I use my 5 cents to get five new cards. That's how I finish an album. But I don't
After less
have
than
that.
48 hours.
So I feel like I'm doing really well. Hold on, let me see how many cards I have. Okay. All right. I have 66.
Awesome. Good for you.
So nowhere near halfway.
How many do you think I have?
I'm assuming since you haven't been trading 40 something.
25.
I played a little hardcore the first day because I had tons of dice.
I did not.
I gave you that new
Yeah,
card so you could save it for that first day. There was specifically, I hunted down that card so you
I
could save it for the
tried
first day of the new
so that
album.
I could try to also get the rest of the freaking thing because
There was no way.
I was good. I actually had, I think, 2 cards left by the end.
But I'm saying like you were like to save.
I
Yeah,
didn't
that's all.
realize that it was to save it. I don't play like you.
I was trying to help. Just
Yeah,
trying
I
to
was
help.
needed the dice anyways for other things.
All right, all right.
Good Lord.
Yeah, he has more than me. I think he's got 70 something.
I
But
truly don't care enough. I'm not as crazy about it.
you asked, that's why I was answering.
I know. I just thought it was wild that people had over 100 already.
Yeah. Yeah, because you can only trade five a day, but it
Yeah,
must
but
just be
other
hardcore
people,
playing.
not even that, everyone uses airplane mode. They're big
Oh,
APM
and alt
players.
accounts just sending cards to themselves.
hmm
Yeah, so they're not even
there's a lot
trading.
of,
They just have
no,
cards being sent to them.
there's a lot of people who have a lot of old accounts and a lot of people who do APM and
I
like
thought they were doing a pretty good job putting airplane mode like to rest.
people are still using it really hard.
Like they were doing a pretty good job banning it, I thought, but maybe not.
No, definitely
Anywho,
not.
so this one is probably going to be a long one, so we will buckle the fuck up,
Buckle in, bitch.
buckle
Sorry,
in.
not that. That
Um,
was aggressive.
so not to fully recap because we hope that you have caught yourself up or that you have read or listened to the other episodes slash books previously, but just to give a little bit of where we are starting this book. Last time we left off at the start of everyone playing the game Emerald Bruises. All the jewels had been lined up with painted on bullseye targets as Victor explained the rules of the game. The masters were given paintball guns, each with a different color. The winner of the game will be whoever covers the jewel of their choosing in as many of their colored paint bullets as possible. They then get to do with that jewel whatever they wish, and every single jewel is fair game, including Ily. The starting gun goes off, and the jewels have a 15-minute head start to run, and that brings us to the beginning of Sapphire Scars.
That was a great recap.
Our journey today starts with Peter.
Okay, so I have so many still complicated feelings about this man.
I have so many. I'm so glad you feel that way because I
Still,
also
I still have
still
complicated feelings.
have complicated feelings for Peter myself. So I'm so glad that I'm not alone because I also am not Team Peter. outright. So
I
many
like I
complicated
have my moments where like
where
I
he's like,
am
okay, but
fine, and then I have moments where
where I
I'm
just
like,
like,
no, thank you.
yes, yes, just that, just like that.
Especially towards the end
Hmm.
when we learn about the
Topaz
that
Torment.
one. I was gonna say turquoise.
That's okay. I was
I don't
calling it
know. There was a
Topaz
lot of
Tournament
caves.
quite a bit.
Huh?
I was calling it Topaz Tournament until I went to write it down and I was like, I'm an idiot. Anywho,
Anyways, we're getting ahead of
um,
ourselves. But yeah, no,
Peter,
complicated feelings. We've had complicated feelings from him about
the
him
whole
the whole time.
time.
So,
Yes. So this should not be news to anyone who's been following along. And if you disagree with us, we actually really want to know because either validate us or invalidate us about Peter because that is how complicated our feelings are towards him. We really want to
like, I want
know.
him alive, but I also want him dead.
Right. Right. Like, I'm not going to lie to you. That little bit at the end where it was like, some will die, some will live. The first person I thought of was Peter. No joke.
I have theories about the next book that I really want to happen, but I already know it's probably not. And
We'll discuss it at the end.
that's fine.
I want to hear
Anyways.
your theories. Okay. Anywho, so Peter is still high on pain meds, but he leads the pack and says he knows a safe place to hide. He wants to take them to the cave where the Diamond Kiss ceremony is held.
And not like the Cave of Wonders like Aladdin.
I mean, it
This is
is a
like
cave of wonders, just not for them. He
just
wants.
not the Aladdin Cave of Wonders.
He is so high.
Honestly, him high was so funny. Not in the context of why he's high, but
No, but so he is so high that he horrifies them and spills secrets about the ceremony itself, where he normally would never have, and how the masters use the Diamond Kiss ceremony to harvest jewels of their blood as they die. Because apparently, when they are scared out of their mind, it chemically changes their blood, and the masters believe it to be like a youth serum and they just drink it and it just crazy, toxic, crazy. On the other side of things, many of the men came to the same conclusion that the jewels would follow Peter, and Peter has the knowledge of the caves and will most likely choose there to hide and decide to go to the caves. Henry is racing to them with masters Kyle, and Charles. When he,
I swear to God,
it's just a
ever
Kyle thing,
since that book,
just
it's
every single
just
time.
Kyle.
I don't seriously. He cursed us. I don't.
I don't think he cursed us. You know,
It's just Kyle.
he helped us see the light.
Everyone says J people get a bad name, but I really think it's K people. I think it's Kyle's.
I was gonna say, K people, are you calling me out now?
No, men.
Okay.
Sorry, men.
Um,
Sorry, J men.
the
K
only
men.
thing is like I do know a good Kyle. That's just one.
Mm, I don't. Henry is racing with these masters when he gets caught by a blowhole and gets knocked the fuck out.
It's not funny, but it's also
It
funny.
was kind of funny. He lands on his paintball gun, crushing it, as well as like bashing his fucking head. Charles is there to wipe his nose in the fact that he gets out of the game and how delicious Illy will taste. Like, wow, buddy, you think that that
I
was
mean,
the right time for
everybody
that?
wants Illy at this point.
But so this is where we learn that Charles likes to eat people. Like he literally meant that Illy would be delicious. Like, are you fucking kidding me?
So the
This is
book
how this
started
book
with
starts. This is how
cannibalism.
this book fucking starts. I just want you to have that mental moment for a minute. So obviously, Henry is not going to stay lying down for this. Henry does his best to breathe through the dizziness from hitting his head before barreling after Charles, catching up to him, grabbing him around the throat, and strangling him to death. So within 2 chapters of this book, we have cannibalism, murder, and drugs. I just want you to know that this is how this book starts. We knew this was a ride because this is book 3, but this is all in, baby. Like all in. I was here for it. I was like, yes, yes, please keep it up.
Honestly, especially after how I felt during the first book, this has been
What
great
you
to
wanted.
have it actually.
Well, the
I
first book was
understand.
world building,
Again,
yeah,
no,
but
I understand,
yeah.
but
But then
still,
the second book was on the shorter side. And so when this book was so like long and like had so much going on, I was like, whoa now. But I was here for it. I was like, okay. So yeah. Don't worry though. because Henry Smartin stole Charles' gun before he left his dead body and strode into the cave.
It should be noted too that like he's in so much immense pain that he's like
Uh-huh.
continuously like fading in and out
Well,
here.
yeah, that's what I said. He has to breathe to fight through the dizziness. He's freaking faltering. Like, he is not doing hot. He
Yeah.
literally just got almost taken out by a fucking blowhole. This is like wild.
Well,
So,
Charles knew that the blowhole was going to happen and he didn't warn him ahead of
mm-mm.
time.
He thought it was funny.
Because, yeah.
So Peter has been leading the jewels through the cave systems, but once they came upon the altar room, the room where the diamond kiss magic happens, they all crumble in despair, seeing their future before them. For so many of them, this is their last straw, and their hope and ability to continue is no more. They choose to go back and try their chances swimming from the island to be able to escape and avoid these masters. In their eyes, if they drown, it's a better fate than this room. So that's about half of the group that was with Peter. And then another group, subgroup of the half that was remaining of the jewels, think that it would help their chances if they split up and spread out. So they all go off in different directions. So now their group is down to 9. And Peter instructs them to go through the chests in the room to try to collect weapons. They unfortunately find a lot more than what they bargained for, so they leave quickly with only some torches and one knife. Henry also couldn't help but snag a weapon when he found an axe in one of the chambers. So everyone's kind of got some survival thinking going on. Twice, Henry happened upon other masters and straggler jewels, but no Ily. So 5 hours into the caves, and Peter's body just gives out because he is like, you have to remember from the last book, his hands are burnt, his feet are burnt. He is like drugged out of his mind. He is barely hanging on. And his collapse and inability to lead them causes panic and more people to leave. So Illy, Rachel, and Molly are the only ones left staying with Peter. They hope that if they just let him rest for about an hour or so, then he will be able to go on. Illy learns during this time that both Rachel and Molly have science backgrounds and can make bombs with the right supplies. She tucks that away for later. He still hasn't woken after they rest, and water has started to come in from the tide, so they have no choice but to keep moving, dragging Peter with them, finally coming to a seemingly dead end with high walls. As they're contemplating their next move, 4 masters appear. It's Kyle with 3 minions. Isn't there a minion named Kyle?
I'm pretty sure there is. Also, side note, when they were going through all the stuff, didn't they find skulls too?
Because Victor saved the skulls for trophies, but don't need to get into that right now. I just,
Oh, yeah. As we learn about the other reasoning
yeah,
behind later.
later, yeah. And I'm like, no, I don't need to
I really
go down
stopped.
that alley right now.
See, he was such a great villain until he decided he wanted to expand his empire. And then I was like, never mind, we're no longer a good
Yeah,
villain.
I know. I was like, okay, I'm down for this. But then I'm like, oh,
Never mind.
yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Okay. So Illy lunges at Kyle, and Kyle empties his entire fucking paintball clip into her. Henry, out of nowhere, hears her screaming, finally, because he's been looking for her and searching for her, and runs toward the screaming. And then he is descending upon this scene as Kyle pulls Illy up against him with a knife to her throat because Illy lunged at him with that knife. The other masters gather round. Kyle instructs them to get Henry. They sense Henry's cold, dead, unhinged vibe and decide that this isn't their fight.
They're like, nah, peace out, bro. Good luck.
Yeah, they're like, yeah, we'd rather not. Thanks, though, for that lovely invite. Henry lunges at Kyle, knocking both Kyle and Illy to the ground. Henry drags Kyle away from her, and Kyle grabs a handful of pebbles and throws them at Henry's face. Both men go at it until Kyle manages to grab the knife and stabs Henry in the arm. Henry, fucking apparently can't die Henry, just pulls the knife out of his arm and shoves it into Kyle's throat and then continues to stab him over and over and over like a deranged fucking psychopath in a crazed bloodlust until Illy manages to snap him out of it. And Peter suggests that they send the body out to sea before he passes out again. The whole scene was fucking wild. They realize that they need to get Peter back to the house now. And before heading back, Henry picks up the discarded paintball gun and aims it at Rachel and Molly. Illy is like, what the fuck? But Henry says, I don't know what we'll be walking into when we return, but I do know Victor will expect a winner. I'm claiming all of you. It's the only way I can think of to keep you safe. And oh my God, like, the first book, Henry had me. The second book, Henry, I was just so mad at him because he was just like in his head and like void of everything. And I was like, what the fuck, Henry? And I was so mad at him. And then he has to go and say shit like this. And I'm like, you're breaking my heart again.
He continues to do that.
So after shooting them both with precision, smearing paint wouldn't do it because the game is about bruise count after all. He hands the gun to Molly to carry and hauls what is left of Kyle over his shoulder and leads the march through the hidden exit to the water. The girls and Henry work together to send him into the sea, and then Henry picks up Peter and carries him back. The guards meet them at the entrance after their long, exhaustive journey back, telling them that they are 3 hours late and that the master jeweler is waiting. Henry insists Peter needs medical attention before anything. The girls whisper to each other and agree that at first chance they will meet in the kitchens where it is safe to talk to discuss fighting back with the new bomb information. Victor finally emerges and sees everyone covered in red. He chastises Henry like, I told you to go after one, not all. And how did you manage to get yourself? And then he notices Henry's is not paint, but blood, and says, explain. Henry tells him that he came upon Kyle torturing a jewel with a knife. And Kyle then turned on Henry and stabbed him. And Henry took the knife out and stabbed back. And then the tide came in, and that Henry is lucky he made it out. Victor hums over this and then turns to Rachel and says, you can't lie to me, pet. You tell me what happened. She gives a story very similar, but apart enough that they were not there for all of it. And so does Molly. Ily is overwhelmed and grateful that they just covered for Henry of all people. But they all saw what Henry did for them and for Peter. It's a whole moment here. Victor asks Henry why he helped Peter because he knows there's no love lost there. He responds that just because he isn't a fan of him doesn't mean he doesn't know that he's important to Victor. He questions the change in paint color. Henry explains about the blowhole and how he took Kyle's gun. Victor says, you don't expect me to let you keep all 3 of them, do you? You got the one you wanted. Henry admits he did, and then he just got a little trigger happy. Victor tells him to go up to the doctor with Peter and have her check out both of them, and that Molly and Rachel can return to their quarters to shower. Henry instructed his prize to follow him. Ily. They make it up to Dr. Belford's door, and Henry pounds on it until she lets them in. He dumps Peter on the table and demands all the supplies he needs to help Ily. Dr. Belford thinks he did all this damage and is just asking for supplies for himself while he is slowly losing it and only has so much left to give. He's literally hanging on by a thread here, and he needs to get Ily fixed up before he passes out. It's not a great combination. They're like going at each other. Peter wakes amongst the chaos and screams out, causing Ily to move quickly towards him, which causes her to pass out. Henry quickly catches her and demands the supplies. Dr. Belford says there's no way she's going to let him take her. They tow off until the nurse tries to calm the scene. There's a guest room 2 doors down. Stay there. That way they can check in on her. Fine. Henry agrees. Ily starts to come to, and they offer her an unusual pain reliever to help, and Ily accepts, even to Henry's vehement objections.
Say that word again.
Objections? Henry's vehement objections. I can't talk today.
Is that even
Henry's, yes. Now you're making me doubt myself.
I know vehement. I guess so. I guess vehemence is. Yeah, it is. It sounds weird. I don't know why it sounds weird to me.
I think it only sounded weird because I had to say it so many times, but I don't know. Ily and Henry headed to the guest room and showered off all of the red. Illy is really feeling the effects of this drug. It is making her very giggly and chatty when all Henry wants to do is put bruise cream on her. She's trying to get a rise out of him. She's bringing up his mom and trying to get him to kiss her. She explains how Illy became her name, how the note attached to her had the acronym ILY, but Krish, her brother, read it as Illy in his 6-year-old way, and then she starts calling him Hen for short, and then equates that to an actual hen, which correlates to cock, and then she giggles until she passes out.
It should be noted that the drug they gave her was GHB. And they warned her it was going to make her
But they
horny.
gave her such a small dose and
Yeah,
thought
but they did
that
warn her that it was going to be, she was going to
and
get.
thought that the pain that she was in would take enough of it, but yeah, yep. Henry over here is having a mental breakdown over basically saying I love you every time he says her name and whether or not he could love her. But he can't think about that right now. He's already still fighting his own injuries and dizziness and fatigue, and he needs to finish putting this cream on her. Like, freaking A, man. He finally finishes in time to pass out himself beside her. His unconscious self wouldn't let it go, though. And he wakes from more thoughts of Illy's I love yous and decided he needs to go get a book to avoid his head. He doesn't get very far, though, because Dr. Belford finds him in the hall and actually patches him up this time and sends him back. Illy wakes to find Henry reading in the dark. And still slightly under the influence, her body can't help but respond to how hot seeing him reading makes her. She takes his book and straddles him. Henry protests a lot, telling her she's hurt, they can't, that it must just be the drugs, that she needs to stop, this must be the fever talking, yada, yada, yada. Illy does not take no for an answer. She reaches down and impales herself on him. Their joining, their right connection sparks a memory of something an old man said to her one day.
It's wild that this experience triggered them.
Right? Well, she just like
Was it the thing
felt
about
their,
the twin flames and everything?
yeah, she just felt their connection. The old man told her that one day you will meet your twin flame. This is different to a soulmate, as soulmates are individual spirits drawn together by past lives and love. A twin flame is two souls from one source, one spirit split into two bodies. When you meet them, you will know. You will recognize them just as surely as they will recognize you. You are the same, you are one, but karmically, you are destined to destroy each other. The moment you meet, your choice is already made. This match will not last. The intensity will destroy you both. If you accept this union, you will both burn. Illy kisses Henry and Henry gives in. They collide in a transcendent fuckery. Illy asks Henry to bite her, to take her over the edge. After they lay together, embracing each other tightly, and just as they're about to fall asleep, Illy whispers that she knows he's still in there and to please help her, help them before drifting off to sleep. So, sad fact before we go into the next day, that post sex hug where they just kind of held each other was Henry's first and only hug that he had ever had.
Yeah, we learn a lot about Henry in this book, and it's all sad.
The next morning, Victor has everyone for breakfast. He is mad. He is angry.
He doesn't actually have them for breakfast.
Well, he has everyone
I
join
know, I
together
was
for
making a
breakfast.
cannibalism joke.
Yeah, right. He's not Charles. Charles is dead. Charles be dead.
So isn't Kyle. And Kyle's like the worst of all of them.
7 jewels are out of commission and so badly hurt because people couldn't understand that the declared winner could do what they wanted, not that the game could be a free for fucking all. Now, 3 masters are dead because no one listened to him. How Henry was the only member who actually just shot at the jewels instead of attacking them. So he is the clear winner. And because he's the only one and the rest couldn't follow basic fucking instructions, Victor is going to honor his claim on all 3 jewels. Oh, fucking shit. That's not good. Victor keeps going on, and he is demanding apologies for the 5 jewels that were lost in the game. So 5 jewels are dead, in addition to the 7 that are out of commission. And Henry's brain is fucking whirring. He's thinking about how many more are going to die until he can get them out of there. And he's like, wait a second. What?
Yeah, because
Hold
now
on.
Henry has gone back to the I'm gonna get everybody out.
Well, he's like, wait, was that a Freudian slip? Like, wait, I'm not supposed to want out. But like, but Illy asked me and that hug, and I have to help her. And he kind of just shakes it off because he can't think about that right now. And Victor informs the group that he is leaving to go hunting because he needs to restock,
Replace what was lost.
and that everyone is to return to their homes, and that their poor behavior has overstayed their welcome, and that if they are invited back, it will be in 1 month's time when his jewels are healed and he is fully stocked again. One of the other masters shouts, "What about him?" pointing to Henry. Victor says he is a permanent guest and didn't break the rules. This makes Roland very mad. Remember Roland, the fucking ass fuck? Victor quickly ends the meeting and bids them all farewell. So, yeah, that all happened. Crazy shit.
It's just wild that Victor's just gonna leave for a month.
Well, he's got to go get some new stock, but also
I
that
know.
he like was chastising them. Like he's sitting here creating this
He
free
was
for all,
pissed. Well, to be
but
fair,
well, before he started this whole Emerald Bruises thing, he basically said they needed to have this moment to be unleashed. They needed this moment to be frenzied. They
yeah,
needed
but at
to,
the same time, he is very protective over his jewelry box and his jewels. And
yeah,
yes, while these men can do things,
he doesn't
but
want to be
he doesn't want to have to
disrespected, and
yeah, like he has these rules
there's
set
a
up,
line.
and there is a time and place for the murder, and this is not the time and place for that. And
Right.
so he's upset because now he has to go replace them probably earlier than he planned on
Yep.
replacing
And
them.
I and while he gave Jules the out at the beginning of the game, he took off all their collars and was like, "If you jump, that's your choice," kind of thing. This is your moment. I don't think he actually expected any of them to.
No, because
So I
he's
think he's also pissed at his decision to do that and that
yeah,
things actually happened.
and things just super escalated.
So he just like blames the treatment of the jewels for the guests. Like, oh, it must be them. It must not be me that I'm keeping these people captive. It must be them and the way they're treating them, that's not why they want to be here. That's why they don't. Yeah. So Henry
This man will
spends,
do anything but take responsibility.
oh, absolutely. So Henry spends the first week after Victor's departure in silent company of Illy. Both of them are still healing, and also he's avoiding conversating with her. Illy has been using these quiet healing days to count guards and locations and notate important things like that around the place. Henry is so deep in his thoughts regarding Illy and tells her to spend the day doing whatever she wants, that without the other masters here, it's safe. And it gives him some space from his thoughts about her right there. She heads to Dr. Belford's to check in on Peter. He's awake, weak, but healing. He tells her of the 5 who didn't make it back. Illy then heads off to the kitchens to meet with Molly and Rachel. She's got shit to plan. The girls decide they need more help than just them, and that with the help of one of the cooks, they find out a cleaner has been marked for a role switch. So apparently, a guest has their eye on one of the cleaners, and they want her to be switched from a cleaner to a jewel, and they get a temporary caller while Victor makes a decision. And so she's likely to help them, as well as they're going to try to find a gardener so that they can get their bomb supplies. Henry, left alone with his thoughts, has been slowly having pieces of his childhood come back to him since he unlocked his memory of siblings right before Emerald Bruises began. By day, Illy has been spending her time with the other jewels, making plans, while Henry is slowly uncovering how he became the way he is. He's been writing as things come back to him, creating a sort of autobiography, slowly succumbing to a dark, miserable void as the days go on. 3 weeks since Victor's departure, the girls feel like they have a game plan finalized and enough help. It will just be down to making all the bombs and setting up in time. Rachel and Peter think it's time to involve Henry. Illy is not so sure with how dark and withdrawn he's seemed. They want her to give him a test. They agree to plan their doomsday for Christmas time when things are quieter. 4 months away. Illy goes to check on Henry because she fears his gloom and withdrawn behavior might be more serious than she initially thought. She thinks he's losing himself and losing all hope and not wanting to be around anymore. She goes to grab a romper from the trunk while he's in the bathroom having a meltdown when they hear the plane. Victor's back, and he's early. Uncovered by the romper, she finds the plastic jewel that they brought back from the scavenger hunt. We were right. It's the one with the diamond kiss.
Sorry. I just love how deadpanned you said that. We were right.
We were right. It's the one with the diamond kiss.
It's just so funny.
Illy's obviously panicking and starts to tear up. This wakes Henry up a little bit, and he licks a tear going down her face and takes the piece of paper that has the coupon on it from her and rips it up, flushing the pieces down the toilet. And they both acknowledge, though, that the cameras saw everything, so it probably won't matter. Henry scoops up a shaking Ily and tucks her into bed and says, "You think I would cash in a voucher that gives me the right to murder you? I knew you hated me, Nightmare, but I had no idea how deep that hatred goes," and turns and walks out. Henry finds out it wasn't Victor returning yet, just a couple of early masters, and heads back to try to sleep. But he's woken up by a nightmare of Ily dying. Man, all these things are really triggering for him. And grabs the cufflinks. Remember the cufflinks that Q gave him? Yeah. But they get no signal on this island because Victor blocks the island. And he runs outside as far as he can and hurls them into the ocean for the slight chance that a signal could be found if they get far enough away from Victor's blockers, and that Ily could be saved. He knows that if Q found a signal, that could mean his death, but at least he could save Ily. Victor did, in fact, come back himself 4 days later. He's back and has summoned everyone before him, including Henry, who hasn't slept since his nightmare in the cufflink thing. Victor is welcoming his guests back and is eager to show off his 8 new jewels. Ily finds that calling Henry names is finally getting a rise out of him. Victor says enough with their whispering and carries on introducing the new people until a couple run and try to make a break for it, until Victor shocks them all. Peter and Ily look at one another. Oh, we should note that when everyone came back from the Emerald Bruises event, Victor went around and reactivated their collars, but Ily was with Henry and he didn't personally go and reactivate hers. So the jewels think that Ily's collar might not be activated, but no one has taken the time to try. So we should just note that for next time. Peter and Ily look at one another and nod, making it clear they are in this fight still. Henry sees this and grabs Ily and marches her out of the room. Victor, along with his Rachel, follows them out. Victor is disappointed in Henry's lack of play and feels Henry needs him there to be free and take what he desires, because Henry hasn't touched Ily this whole time that Victor's been gone. He proposes an evening with just the 4 of them together. Victor brought Henry a present. It's a whip and a pair of dildos made from rose quartz and obsidian. One for both holes, he says.
So wild. And this man and his obsession with jewels is just never gonna cease to amaze me.
Victor is heading up to shower off his travels. He wants everyone to meet in his room for dinner and activities to relax. And tomorrow, he wants Henry to try the snuff box. Everyone convenes in Victor's room for dinner, and Victor tells Henry that he's come around to being a parent while he's gone. And in fact, he has learned the lucrative benefit having children around could have on his business.
And this is where he lost me as a villain.
Yeah. Yeah, because Victor actually was kind of a cool villain up until
like
this
I've
moment.
loved him as a villain
Yeah.
for like this whole time until this part. And then I was like,
not gonna lie. Yeah. I was like, I was totally here for his villainness. Like I still wanted his demise, obviously. But this is where he lost me.
Villain.
Yeah.
Like Jafar or Scar. You know what I mean? Like the cool.
He was like nuts and he did bad things.
Well,
but
Maleficent
like
had reasons, so I get it. But like a cool villain. But then this happened, and then he became Voldemort. I don't know.
Well,
sorry.
Apparently, a friend showed him how to sell on the dark web, and that children are much more lucrative than simply harvesting the jewels for their organs once they're past their sell-by date. Because when they do the diamond kiss, they don't just take their blood, they harvest all their organs and sell their organs to the highest bidder before they discard their bodies.
Yo,
That's how he was, once they
making
got
some real good
old enough,
money.
that's how he was making money off them. And Henry's just sitting here like
Fuck.
gobsmacked. Right.
Like literally like children? Are you fucking kidding me?
And then Victor takes it a step worse while Henry's already trying not to react and not to like puddle on the floor. Victor comments that a child between Henry and Ily would be gorgeous and would fetch a pretty penny. Henry makes it clear that he would not let him sell a child of his and that there's no way that he would impregnate Ily when she previously told him she would jump off the cliffs if he did, and he prefers her alive. Victor says he might change his mind and want to further the Mercer bloodline now that Victor has plans to hit Q where it hurts, and people are grabbing his son as they speak, and that he knows that Q will go after that and he'll hit two birds with one stone.
And then I was like, what the fuck? Because then he's gonna leave the wife as a widow on
Mm-hmm.
purpose. And I'm like,
Mm-hmm.
oh my God, we just like went from 0 to like 6,000.
In one scene, he went from villain to like super villain,
I don't even know what villain to compare him to right now.
right?
Voldemort's not even dark enough for him. And Voldemort killed a lot of people.
Victor, I don't know. Voldemort was like a mass extinguisher of races, and like he was just like,
I know, but he
I
didn't
think
sell
Voldemort was
children,
worse.
so I don't know.
Yeah, he just killed them.
I'm just trying to think. I will think of a villain. I got
Okay.
you. I'll figure it out.
Victor is excited to free Henry of this weight and continue to help him thrive and accept his true self. Now, says Victor, I don't like debt hanging over my head. He reminds Rachel that Henry won her in emerald bruises and instructs her to present herself to him. Henry tries to relinquish his right of winnings, but Victor insists he needs this and that he will fuck Victor's favorite while Victor fucks his favorite. Victor informs him that this is not a negotiation. He can do it willingly or with the help of guards and a blue pill, that this is for his own good. He needs this. Henry continues to fight, even with a resigned Ily on the floor. And Victor forces a blue pill in him because he clearly isn't aroused by any of this. Henry is still fighting his way through this, just with an erection now. And Victor tells, and
I also feel like he was getting lightheaded. Was he like allergic to this shit too? Because like that's all I
well,
can think
that
of.
and he hadn't been eating and he had just been throwing everything up. And yeah. Remember, he also hadn't slept in 4 days. So he was taking drugs when he hadn't eaten or slept in 4 days. And Victor tells him if he doesn't do it, he will give every guard outside the door a turn with Ily when he's done. Henry gives in, but his mind is breaking, and his past with his father's attempts at training him flicker in between with the present. They both just disassociate. The second Victor is finished, Henry stops and scoops up Ily to leave. Like he doesn't even finish, and Victor like calls him out on it. He's like, "Yeah, I'm good." Victor says Ily was a bit of a letdown, but they'll work on that, and that they can meet tomorrow, and he'll show Henry his favorite game, Sapphire Scars. Henry brings Ily straight to their room and into the bathroom to shower. After her turn, Henry gets in and scrubs himself raw until he collapses to the floor. Ily just holds him, and they cling to each other. Henry starts telling her about how his dad made him do all the things to the women starting at 7 years old and how he remembers it all now, and that no wonder his mother treated him the way she did because she knew what he did, how he will never let Victor touch her again, that he's hers, and that he loves her, like legit, not just her name. She asks if he means it. Is he done playing Victor's games? He says she asked him to play along, that he's ready to play. He'll free them all, or he'll die trying. Through their crying of shared trauma of the evening, Ily tells Henry she wants him to erase Victor for her, to help her forget him inside her, and they start to fuck right there on the floor. Ily tells Henry he's wrong, that she doesn't hate him, that she loves him, and she makes him promise to go along with Victor and his games, keep him distracted and happy, that whatever he has to do to her tomorrow, just do it. Henry balks at this. He doesn't want to hurt her again. She says you do, and that's okay. And that she doesn't like it when others hurt her, but she likes it when he does. She trusts him not to go too far. And they create a safe word just in case, and she'll use it if she needs to. Did you find something? You look like
The
you found
only
something.
villains that I've got are, I would say, like a mashup of, you ready? Voldemort, Buffalo Bill, and Hannibal. All three in one. There you go.
Oh, man. The next morning, they have breakfast. Their connection is heightened on both sides, each seeming to understand what the other is thinking without words. Another piece of this twin flame theory that Illy has remembered from hearing about it. Victor makes a jab at their vanilla fucking in whispers and says there will be no vanilla today. Henry tells Victor that he did help him last night, that he made him realize he will always want Illy to fight back. That's what does it for him. Victor doesn't want him to miss out on a jewel who submits to his every whim. Henry says that he would just need a blue pill and that there is no fun in that. And that if they're going to do the snuff box today, Victor needs to agree to let Henry do it his way. He will make sure Illy is polite to him around the house, but when it comes to play, he wants her feisty as is. Victor accepts this and basically says, why wait for the afternoon? Suddenly, he's eager to play now. They head to the snuff box, and Henry reminds them of their agreement. Victor is concerned leaving Illy unbroken will allow her to corrupt the others and wonders how he has gotten Illy to behave for Victor suddenly. Illy explains that it was seeing the fate of the jewels in the caves, and Victor thinks that maybe everyone should witness the next Diamond Kiss to instill this kind of obedience, that the ticket still hasn't been claimed. He'll have to have the guards go through the footage to see where it wound up. They head further into the room and see the torture chamber for what it is. It's a circular room with units set up all along the walls. Victor wants him to use this specialized St. Andrew's cross first. Victor grabs Illy and roughly cuffs her to it. He hands Henry the bullwhip. He calls Rachel over and asks her to show Henry her scars from the last time Victor played in here with her. On the inside of her thigh are 5 glittery blue lines. Victor hands Henry a vial of sparkly powder and says, I told you this game is my favorite. It doesn't happen often because this dust is expensive. First you cut them, then you scar them, and then the dust makes the scars shimmer. Sapphire Scars. The dust is crushed sapphires. Tattoo her. I
And
mean,
then Ariel and I had a discussion about honestly how cool would that look though?
it kind of does sound
Like
kind of
how
cool.
fuck
But
it's
Illy
fucked
did
up,
point out
but
that
like it's kind of
it
cool.
is used. I don't know if this is legit or not. I didn't look it up, which I should have. It sounds legit, but Illy did point out it is used tribally in some places. So she knew it was a thing. And it's kind of like tattoos before tattoos. And yeah, crazy. You looking it up.
Yeah.
I don't know necessarily sapphires in general, but like gems. Victor doesn't know Henry has experience and is literally trained to do this. He will be able to not hurt her more than he has to, he reasons with himself, because Victor thinks that it'll be easy for Henry to cut her because he's a novice with the bullwhip. But he's not.
This poor man.
Oh, I thought you found something. Okay.
No, I'm still
He's
looking.
Okay. He starts practicing, smoothing out a rhythm. Illy starts mouthing off to Henry to spark him into going forward. And so he begins. Illy enjoys it way more than she expected to, and she's right on the edge. Henry flips her over upside down and starts to eat her, but stops just before she gets there and grabs a knife.
But not like eat her, eat her.
Yeah, he's not a cannibal.
Eat.
Eats her out. Yeah. And starts to eat her out, but stops just before she gets there and grabs a knife and says she needs to bleed first. He grabs the dust and starts using the blade in the same spot on her where his scar is on him. 3 lines, then the dust, then his tongue is returned to her. Then he flips her back upright and says, 3 more strikes, one which cuts her in his craze, so he quickly grabs the dust. And then he slams into her and fucks her and fucks her and fucks her until they are both exhausted and sated. He says to her, 4 scars for the 4 things you own, my mind, body, heart, and soul. With the knife, he carved an H into her, branding her. Just saying. Just saying. Now she got a fancy blue sparkly H. Later that evening in their room, they just hold each other. Henry is teasing her about her intense climax while she blames his perfect dick. He jokes about making a mold out of it, and she possessively shoots this down because it's only hers. She tells him about the whole twin flame thing. Well, the connection part, anyways, not the destroying each other. She conveniently leaves that part out.
I mean, wouldn't you?
Yep. Henry asks if she's going to finally tell him about the plan. She says she will arrange a way that he can meet with Peter in the kitchens and learn all. Illy yawns, and the day catches up to them, and Henry confesses that if anything truly happened to her, he would be done too. She makes a joke about it being a little early in their relationship for him to be so serious. He likes hearing that word, and she's like, well, I don't know. You haven't actually asked me yet. Made it official, you know. And he asks her to go steady. She says yes. They kiss, and he says to get some sleep, wife. She's like, I agreed to be your girlfriend, not wife. He's like, same thing.
That's
Oh,
not the same
Henry.
thing, Henry.
Hey, she agreed to be his on some level, so he's taking everything now. He's going back to the wife thing. After breakfast the next morning, Henry finds his way to the kitchens. The cook helping with the plan guides him to the right spot. Illy, Rachel, Molly, and Peter are there. The three girls need to head back so that there's space, but before they do, Henry gets to apologize to Rachel. Rachel tells him that she's glad it was him versus someone else and glad he is there to help. Peter thanks Henry for carrying him back that night, but makes it clear one good deed does not a good man make, and that Peter doesn't like or trust him and thinks he's a genuine psychopath. Peter, I think you're a fucking genuine psychopath. I just want you to know that. I think your jealousy is showing, Peter. Just saying. Henry says, fine. You want to play? And he tells him that he's just mad that she's with him because he has a thing for her and he's too afraid to tell her because she'll tell him she doesn't feel the same way. Peter tells him that Henry is just in love with the idea of her and is jealous of him. Henry says, I was before she loved me back. Now I just pity you. Henry's like, this is ridiculous. I'm going to go. Like, I can't do this. Basically, like, I'm not going to have these child arguments with you, Peter, because you're acting like a fucking child. Peter's like, wait, like a fucking child, and realizes his mistakes. And Peter explains about the bombs and where they are in the progress. Everything getting set to go for noon, Christmas Day. Henry thinks their plan needs a lot of work and changes, but before he can walk Peter through all the changes he would make, one of the kitchen staff quickly pushes him from Peter and shoves an apple into his hand as Victor enters the kitchens. He was looking for Peter, who was taking too long on an errand. Victor asks Henry to catch up later that night, just the four of them again. Then we fast forward 3 weeks later, and we learn that their days have been spent relaxing and reading, or meditating and writing, and that almost all of their evenings have been spent in Victor's chambers as his guests, each using their own jewels, of course, but Victor is still the puppeteer. The month of September brought more of Victor's games, testing their limits aplenty, and even another scavenger hunt. Luckily, they planned ahead and had a meeting point, and Henry stood guard over Illy, Rachel, and Molly while they hid. Discussions about Halloween have started, and Victor asked Henry to be his child's godfather. A couple weeks into October, Illy and Henry are approached in the maze by two masters and two jewels. I guess the cameras in there aren't infrared and they're grainy at best. So the girls get down and start to pretend to suck the two off and convince Illy to do the same with Henry. Those two masters came here for companionship and easy sex, something their busy work lives at home complicate. They're horrified by most of what goes on here and have come too attached to their specific jewels, and when they're gone, they get abused by others. The girls confess that they have told their masters about the Christmas plan. Uh-oh. They want to help the girls get out, and the girls will marry them on the outside for a fresh start. I mean, I guess it's better than their lives now, but like, still. The masters say they want to help the cause and that they come with 3 guards. Well, now that changes things now, doesn't it?
Well, especially to have another master in on the plan and
Never
then
mind,
also to
two
bring
and
in
guards.
guards.
Yep,
You know what I
yep,
mean? So
yep.
like it while I understand why she'd be pissed because I would be too, you're sharing fuck like that's pushing it. But you know what? Like I understand getting upset because bro,
Hmm?
like this could go really bad if other people find out or if they say they're going to, but then they realize that, ooh, but I can use this to my advantage type of thing. I know that they come across as pretty genuine, to be honest, like these two men do, because they've talked and they're like, yeah, this is terrible. This is not fucking what we're here for. And like, bitch, we want out. And like
Right.
they love their jewels and that's why they want to marry them.
They've come to fall
And
for
so I understand that. mean, at the same time, like,
And
you
Henry
gotta
is right
give.
to like distrust and feel like, oh, well, is this just Victor testing me? But it's too big of a chance to that they need to take it. Two more
Yeah.
masters and three guards.
Yeah.
Apparently, the guards are also mostly prisoners. They aren't allowed to leave. They're just basically prisoners with guns, and they want out. Henry tells them to have the guards start stashing weapons around as many places as possible, but not to speak of this again, and that they cannot arouse suspicion. When they know where the guns are stashed, tell the jewels, and that they will let the others know. So Halloween has come. Their progress is coming along nicely. Most of the small bombs have been placed. Weapons are starting to be stashed. Victor is putting on a masquerade. Only 10 masters are in attendance. Most are staying behind with families for the holiday. Illy wishes that she's getting antsy. She wishes that they could up the timetable. All the masters are clothed in black and all the jewels are in white. And Illy has this crown that she was given to wear. Peter catches Illy and brings her to the dance floor while Henry hangs out with the masters from the maze, Ben and Stuart. Peter uses this opportunity to confess his love, knowing it won't be returned the same way. Dude, why? Why would you just put that on her? Illy assures him he will be free and find a greater love someday. Like, come on. So Henry starts to approach, and Peter warns that he feels like Victor is up to something and seems very smug.
Because something just seems
Seems
wrong.
off, yeah.
Something is off. Like, something's wrong.
Which Illy almost seconds because she's been feeling really antsy too. And then all of a sudden it dawns on him how they're all dressed and how Illy is wearing a crown. And he realizes Victor learned who has the coupon for the diamond kiss. Victor starts his announcements. He tells everyone he's to have a son. They found out the gender of the baby because apparently if it was going to be a girl, he was going to sell it, just so you guys know.
Yeah.
So, and he tells everybody about the new baby plans for the business and how he's going to be starting that up if
Some
anyone
people
wants
were
to
a little like,
participate.
what?
I
And
don't
some
want
people are like,
babies, yeah,
yeah,
right?
yeah, let's go. And I'm like, bro.
And then he announces that Henry will be his heir's godfather and he calls him up to the front. He says that tonight Henry's probationary period is over with just one final push. He will be a 50-50 partner. He says for everyone to follow him. And on his way past Illy and Peter, his host face drops and he whispers that they have forced his hand. They are responsible for tonight. The kitchen whispers, turning the jewels against him, the cleaners, the chemicals. He will punish all involved. If they want freedom so bad, well, now they'll get it. And he grabs Illy to escort her as Henry catches up to the group, and Victor tells the guards to help Peter get there as he is a guest of honor.
Yeah. So this man not just only knows about this shit thing, he knows everything.
A lot. I don't know if it's everything
Not
yet
every, no, he doesn't know everything because there are some
because
people he
they
doesn't
because
know
Peter
or
and
involved.
Illy are like we need to keep shut because they still think that there might be a chance they don't know Henry and the guards are and the masters are involved, but
But
they're
this man knows a
still know some. Yeah.
lot, which is not
Yep.
good.
Nope. So Victor leads the group down to the dungeons, which I thought that was going to go somewhere different. It didn't. Apparently, the dungeons can also reach the caves from a tunnel. So there's that. A tunnel, a tunnel, a tunnel, like a trundle, like a trundle bed. Okay. So once they're once they're in the altar room, Victor snaps his fingers and two guards tie Illy down to it, down to the altar. Victor turns to Henry and tells him he obviously loves her, and love has no place here, and he needs to cure himself. She has poisoned him like she has the other jewels. He hands Henry the special blade and says it will take 100 cuts to turn her from human into gem, and that her parts have already been sold. Then he tells the others that Peter is next after he cleans up what's left of Ileana, if anyone would like that honor. He tells Henry that it is time and that he once had to cure himself too, but it's Henry's turn. Henry will have to rip her beating heart out as he kisses the last breath from her. Victor says, "Make the first cut. Let's begin." And that's where the book leaves off.
Which is kind of nice because the past few books we've had, we haven't gotten the game in the book.
Right. I'm just glad we got the title game in the actual book of the name.
Yeah, they also did a bunch of other games, and one
Oh,
of
yeah,
those games
tons.
is a bonus at the end as well. You read it, right?
Yes, there is a deleted scene at the end of the book for Topaz Torment, and that one's in there.
And it's because it's like a huge scene between the three of them, Henri, Illy, and
And I can understand
Peter.
why it's not in there because the book was long enough and it wasn't 100% needed, but it's nice that we
No,
got
but it
that
was
bonus.
also, I also felt like because they kind of reference it a little bit during the book where she goes, like,
Right.
where he feels bad about making her say the things so that he, and then so I was like, well, what the fuck happened? I am happy for the inclusion so that
Yeah.
I knew what was going on because otherwise it kind
I
of felt like
figure,
something that was hidden behind the scenes
oh,
that we
see,
didn't see.
I felt like with what was said that I understood what happened with
I
all the
know, but
context,
I
but I
didn't
did
understand
like that
fully
it
what
was
happened,
added.
so I liked
Uh,
having that inclusion at the end.
yeah. Yeah. So, though, I am dying to hear your predictions. You said you had some thoughts
I
because
mean,
our next final book is going to be Diamond Kisses or Diamond Kiss. Is it Diamond Kisses or
I
Diamond
don't
Kiss?
know because I think it says Diamond Kisses, but I
Oh, please
want
hold.
it to be singular. It would make sense because every single one has been not singular. The other one.
Yeah, it's Diamond Kisses.
It would make sense if they're going to try to kill both of them.
That's true too. Yep.
And scars, multiple
And
scars,
so,
bruises, multiple bruises. So all of them are
yep. So
plurals.
and at the end of the book, it basically says like, hope is gone, pain is coming. It's not a question of if someone will die, but who. And I'm going to tell you, I instantly went, Peter? Like, I know Victor, but Peter?
See, I am hoping for rebellion.
Oh, absolutely. I also am hoping the cufflinks work and that in addition to the rebellion, they also get Hughes back up. That's what I think will happen.
Samesies.
That's what I think will happen.
Yeah, I don't
Slash
think
hope.
Illy's gonna die as much as I'm sure you would want her to die so that you can have that kind of an ending.
I don't want her to die. I want Peter
Oh,
to die,
really?
but not Illy. Yeah. I want
Surprising.
Illy and Henry to have their moment.
And then they die.
No, not
Maybe
with
they
this one.
both die.
They've gone through so much already that they don't need that kind of chaotic ending.
Gotcha. Okay.
It's only the ones where it's like they don't go through, enough trauma or something. I don't know. Like,
I don't know because what happened with the fucking Luna duet, Ariel? They went through so fucking much that they didn't.
okay, sure, yes, but they made a pact to do it. They should have done it. That was bogus. That was cheated. I felt cheated.
So
Don't tell me you're
don't
gonna do
listen to her
something.
reasoning because it changes depending.
Okay, but don't tell me you're gonna do something.
I'm just saying.
Okay, if they die together, it's fine.
Pretty sure there's probably been a couple other books where they've gone through a lot during the book and you're like, I just wanted one of them to die.
Ileana can die. Are you happy
I'm
now?
just saying.
Are you fucking happy now? Then if she dies, Peter can't die because I want him to suffer. I want it to be his fault. That's my
Oh,
condition to that. That's how I feel about that. So yes, next time we will let you know as soon as we know when Diamond Kisses is coming, and we will cover that one as soon as possible. For the meantime, who is your favorite character?
the doctor ladies. I don't know, because then she did some things that made me mad.
Oh, I didn't like Dr. Belford in this one.
The kitchen staff.
Yeah, yeah. They were some good MVPs of this.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Yeah, they were. I
How about
like I
you?
like a quiet like under rebellion. Yeah, the kitchen
Yeah.
staff.
A Quiet Rebellion. Love it.
Yeah, and Illy for just she hasn't been my favorite this whole time, but like she held strong in this book and was like, "No, I'm gonna get shit fucking done. I'm gonna be quiet when I need to." She finally learned how to fucking shut the fuck up. Just because she learned how to shut the fuck up, I think. I'm gonna give her a special commendation and the kitchen staff.
Yeah. We don't even need to ask who your least favorite is. It's still Peter, isn't it?
Oh yeah, and Dr. Belford in this book.
Yeah, she wasn't great. She was kind of
Yeah, she
like,
like turned a weird tide.
I mean,
I kind of got it, but like, girl, take a fucking breather.
and then the dude who was like
Not
so
about you.
excited about the fact that he was going to start selling children. Like there was
Oh,
one guy who was like so excited about it. Yeah.
so many. There's so many to list. So many to list.
Yeah. And so we can't
So many of
Amazon
the
rate
masters.
this because, oh, I guess we should
It has
go.
not come out yet. At the time of this recording, it has not been released yet.
Yeah.
It will be out by the time this is out because we're gonna obviously wait to release this for when it comes out because we arc read this. But
But as of
what did you
current,
rate it though? Because you still matter. Your opinion still matters to me. To me. Sometimes. I'm just kidding.
I gave this one a 4.5.
Okay. So
I
I
struggled. I
really
went between like a 4 and a 4.5.
interesting because you rated the last one higher, I think,
I
because you
really
didn't
liked the
struggle.
last one.
I know, but that's the thing. I feel like I liked this one more.
I don't know.
It had so much more going on. In fact, I liked this one more that it almost made me go back and was like, oh, should I have rated the other one slightly lower?
It's too
Because I
late.
liked this one. It is too late. Because I did at the time, I was in
Well,
the
that's the
last one
thing. It's
and
like
I
at the
enjoyed the last
time, and
one.
I don't know. I don't know if it's because of the time period between when the two came out, or like, I don't know what it was about this one in particular that I just there were parts that I was like,
That you were not feeling.
yeah, I skimmed over some stuff because I was like,
Oh,
I don't care. I don't
okay.
remember what it
I
was.
mean,
I
see,
don't
and I
know.
was in it the whole time because there was so much drama going
Well, there
on
was
the whole
some
fucking
parts where I
time.
was like super fucking into it, but I definitely took like a few breaks and it wasn't because it was too much. It was just because my brain wasn't there. You know what I mean?
Gotcha. See, okay, so for me, I did rate this one 5 stars because I was in it. I was in it the whole fucking time. I was happy that Henry was back. I love a good like quiet uprising. That's like one of those like mini micro tropes that I am like in.
Did
Like
we talk
I
about Henry's childhood at all? Or
a
did we
little bit.
completely skip over it?
No, we talked about it a little bit, but we can go more into depth of it. I love what when I'll talk about that right now. I love when a bad guy, like a bad like a villainous MMC is a villainous MMC and we get his backstory that he had like such a shitty childhood and like was basically groomed to be that way by his like that there's reasons. I shouldn't
Mhm.
say that I like that he had reasons, but like I like that there are reasons and he's fighting against them. Like I said, I like that mini trope of like the uprising. I liked the pacing. I felt like the pacing was a little fast at the end versus the beginning. So that would
Maybe
have been
that's where it was for
I think
me, and
that was
that's why I struggled.
my one note of like wait, the balance of that was a little. But on a whole, if I had to find something to complain about, that would probably be my complaint. But as a whole, like I was in it. Are you kidding me? 2 chapters in and we had freaking cannibalism, murder, and freaking whatever else. Like I was like, dude, I am here for this. And it just kept going. You never knew which was going on. And all of a sudden we had freaking guards coming out here and masters coming out here and we're on different sides and like I was here for it.
I do wish that Henry wouldn't have deleted his autobiography.
Yes, I understood
And
why
the
though,
fact that
but
fucking Victor was reading it.
that's probably also why he was like so because every time he'd start to so he kept writing scenes from his past
'Cause-
as he'd remember them, but then he'd delete it. So if Victor logged in at the right time, he'd see something, but if he didn't, he
Yeah.
couldn't.
Yeah, and he started writing it because he was trying to write about Illy and all that stuff. And then it just
Hmm.
triggered all of the memories of his childhood. And then it just like that poor man that
I
sent him
know.
right into a spiral. And
I
it was a
know.
lot. But
I think that's why he wasn't my favorite on this one. While I did like his redemption, he was just too low and spirally in a lot of moments.
instead of high and murdery,
Yeah. For instance,
he's a very complicated character.
this is for you.
Okay.
The dedication to the book that I'm starting today is for all the girls who want the villain to fuck them like a psycho.
What book is that?
Breaking Rosalind. It's connected to the Taming Seraphine,
Gotcha.
but it's the one that like Césaire and the fucking other chick, he just like has her all chained up. This is going to be fucking some wild shit. There's like 3 pages of trigger warnings that I did not read because I'm going to read this anyways. What comes after rating? Yeah, cucumber. Wait, what did you cucumber rate this? Are we going to have we been cucumber rating these?
No. Mostly
Okay.
because there's a lot of forced sex in these
Yeah.
books. And I don't think we felt
Yeah.
comfortable rating this, so
I,
we're not going to do that.
survivability.
I'd be dead.
You
I
have
would have,
taken the clip. Would you have taken
I
the clip
literally
way out?
probably would have died in the first book, to be honest.
Would you have
So I
taken
wouldn't
the
even
clip
made
way
it
out?
this far.
Oh yeah, that's true because I think we both declared we probably would have both been dead. So I guess it's a moot point.
I would be so dead. I would have
Dead,
given
dead,
up.
dead.
I would have given up so quickly. I don't run. I have been shot by
Run.
paintball guns, and that shit doesn't feel great.
No, it
So
doesn't.
I
Doesn't.
would I would have been very dead at this point.
Yeah, I
And my
feel that.
organs would have been harvested and sold on the black market a long time ago.
I
I would
feel
have
that.
diamond kissed myself.
So we didn't have to spin a wheel for this book because this book was obviously, as soon as we got it, we were gonna put this out for after it was released.
Our next special for this month is The Temporary Wife. And so because of that, we decided, because it's going to be book 2,
That we're actually not going to spin a wheel this week, that instead we're going to give you a rerun of the first book in the series, The Wrong Bride. We covered it. We covered it last year. And since it was requested for us to do the second book, we
decided, here you go.
so we're going to rerun the first one so that you guys can get caught up and you can have them in a row.
Yeah.
But yes, make sure to join us next week for our new special and make sure to keep reading.
And keep it smutty.
Oh, fuck.
Oh, fuck.